All right, what's up, my favorite group of ninth graders? I have a great lesson for you guys today, one that is very close in my heart and one that has affected me and that I've lived off of for a while. So today we're going to talk about physical fitness, just a healthy physical activity, healthy physical lifestyle, and good physical activity for you guys to get into to for you to perform and be the best in your life, whether it's looking the best, feeling the best, or just performing the best in general in a number of things, for your family, for your partner, for your future partner in your life. It don't matter, all the above. So a quick disclaimer I want to talk about, just because in getting into this, if you're not doing every single thing I'm saying, it doesn't mean you're unhealthy or in terrible physical shape or that you have to do this in order to be in good physical standing. These are just ways to improve your physical health. It's good physical activity to get into, and just stuff that I think and in my experience will benefit your overall life. So in that, I'm going to talk to you about some main points we're going to hit on today. Probably the first one and one of the biggest we're going to talk about is sleep, is getting not too much or too little sleep, because that's very important in setting a mood and a tone for your entire day. The next point will be about water intake. This is very important, and one thing I saw make a monumental difference in my life when I started cutting out some of the soft drinks and start drinking more water throughout the day, and then ultimately changing to where I only drink water. And that was one of the best things that I could have done. And then next off, we're going to talk about just some physical activity that would be good for you to get into, good stuff for you to do to help your overall life. And then we're also going to hear from a couple of my friends, one being Officer Maddox, one of my good friends who recently graduated basic law enforcement training and is now a cop. And then we're going to hear from another one of my friends, Juan Campos, who's an avid runner. He runs a lot. It's one thing he's dedicated his life to, and he just runs crazy amounts, and it's one thing that he's just so in love with, and it's going to be a good testimony from the both of them. So first, let's get into sleep. So for physical activity, I feel like sleep is very important. Not getting too much or too little sleep. There could be a number of things that happen with sleep. Your sleep schedule, setting a good basis for when you want to go to sleep and when you want to wake up is very key in terms of sleep. You'll want, definitely setting alarms. You're not wanting to sleep too late. You can kind of pair it up with what time you go to bed, what time you want to wake up. If you want to kind of sleep, if you're going to sleep a little later in the day, then maybe not. You won't go to sleep as early, or vice versa. Again, mastering sleep, getting a good sleep schedule down pat will only help you throughout the day to boost your morale and your tone for the rest of the day and all the physical activity you may endure. So my next point, we're going to talk about water intake. So the basic rule of thumb is you want to drink about a gallon of water a day. So now this may sound like a lot off the bat, but a gallon of water a day is about 8 water bottles just like this. So as you can see, it does sound like a really lot off the rip, but if you think about it in terms of, so if you drink 1 bottle of water with each of your 3 meals of the day, well heck, you're already almost halfway done with it right there. That's not counting if you're doing some physical activity, you're going to be drinking water, you're going to be putting bottles down, and that's going to help you increase your water intake, which for me, it completely transformed my life. It made it easier for me to wake up on time. It gave me more energy. It just made me feel like I was in the zone more often and could perform physically better. So we'll cover sleep, covered water, we'll cover just physical activity in general in my life that I think has impacted me. So I played baseball my entire life. I played in my 4 years in college here at West Virginia Wesleyan. So when we talk about physical activity, it's all about staying in shape, staying moving, and finding something that you enjoy doing. So if you're out there, you play a sport, sport's a great physical activity. So if you're sleeping well, you're drinking right, then that is already going to improve your game for whatever respective sport you play. Playing baseball for me has kept me in great shape, and it's always forced me to want to be the best. So to be the best, you have to perform the best. So staying in good shape through whether it's coming to the field and hitting, throwing a little bit, working out in the weight room. I know we did a video on weight room safety earlier in the year, and you guys are in 9th grade, so I know you're getting there right about the time to try out for high school sports teams. Sports are just a great way, I can't emphasize it enough, to stay in shape. It's great to be a part of, and it's just great for everything you want to do in life, whether you want to play in college, whether you want to be a pro athlete, no matter what you want to do. And especially for me, sports were the main thing that drove me to stay physically fit, and for one, keep me wanting to pursue higher education as well. So now we're going to hear from Officer Maddox real quick. Josh, you can come here. He just recently graduated from BLET, and he is a cop as of now, and he's going to tell you guys a little bit about how physical activity has helped shape him and helped him in his job.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything about what he said is true, and he hit about as good as you could. So I recently graduated BLET, which is the beginning stages of being a cop, any law enforcement officer in the state and local department, which I'm currently at. I'm in our local police department because I'm only going to be 20 years old, and I got lucky enough to work on them. As far as what I kind of did in my BLET, like, I haven't had a lot of time on the road. I've only been doing it for about a month and a half, and the shifts are real grueling, and they're 12-hour shifts that we pull, and some weeks you have 3 or 4 days consecutive, and I believe as far as your physical side of it, that's everything. Because if you're not physically fit, and if you're not 100% there or in the best shape you could possibly be in, then you're not performing your best for the shift. And I don't believe that's fair for you if I'm responding to your house, and that's not fair to me because I'm not giving myself and putting myself in a safe position. Now, as far as physical activity goes, in my BLET, it wasn't absolutely horrendous. It wasn't as crazy as people think, but it was physically demanding. We got drilled on push-ups, sit-ups, leg lifts, core, any physical activity, calisthenics you can think of. We ran. We had multiple 5-mile runs. Constantly, it wasn't necessarily a terrible thing because fitness has kind of been a big part of my life for a while. But if you're not physically fit, you could tell. And I believe that's 100%. As like he mentioned, it goes hand in hand with water and what you're eating. But I believe physical fitness is the apex of anything you want to do in life. Now, as far as actually translating that to life, I think he hit it perfect because cops and law enforcement kind of have a stigma behind their name that you can be overweight and you can eat a donut, you can drink coffee, and in a lot of cases, sometimes that is the case. But you're given a standard that you're gonna withheld, but after you graduate BLET, you're not necessarily held to that standard anymore, and you take it upon yourself, like I've tried to do, and I know Dylan has, and the next person you're gonna hear from, our buddy Juan, has done. And I believe if you don't necessarily have to be the fastest, strongest guy in the room or gal, but as long as you put forth the effort, you're gonna see the change, which we've all done. I believe it's changed us for the better.
Right, and Officer Maddox made a lot of great points. He talked about, in law enforcement, I know all you guys aren't going to be cops, state troopers, highway patrol, and stuff like that, but just hearing some testimony from him saying that, him being in good physical standing helped him stand out in his job occupation and his dreams of being a cop, of how that helped him and how he's glad that he took all the proper steps and stayed physically fit through exercise, proper exercise, through eating, through drinking water, through getting enough sleep. That's just a testament to saying, everybody wants to be the best at what they do, and if being physically fit and being in good shape can help you in your current daily life and in your future life of whatever job you may choose. That's something we can all get behind, and something I think we all should do. So in talking about being physically fit and kind of some of the demands that being a cop requires, like Josh talked about, some push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and running. One thing that we're going to hit on here in a minute. All those right there are great examples of physical activity. So like I hit on earlier, playing sports, you don't have to play a sport to be physically fit. You don't have to be in the weight room every day to be physically fit. But if you're, taking a little bit every day and you're moving around, maybe do some push-ups, you do some sit-ups, maybe you fall in love with running like my friend over here did, or swimming. That's great physical activity. So in talking about running and swimming, I want to bring my friend Juan over here, who is a runner, swimmer. He fell in love with physical activity a few years ago, and it's totally transformed his life. And I just wanted to bring him in to talk to you guys about running and swimming and stuff like that in terms of physical activity.
Where my buddy Dylan and Josh explained how physical activity can help you physically, but also it can help you mentally. I do a lot of running and swimming, not necessarily for physical activity, but that's a small part of it, but also mentally. When there's something about when you go on long runs or long swims where at some point you're going to hit a wall, and to overcome that wall, you feel great after it. And you can't really describe that feeling until you actually get to that point, and that helps you develop a standard. And once you develop that standard, you keep on wanting more and more. It's kind of like a drug in a sense that helps you out for the long run. Mentally, physically, emotionally, you're going to feel better as a person. You're not going to go out and do as many bad things as you would think about when you're sitting at home not doing nothing. I encourage everybody to go out and at least start out with a bike. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then bike. Do something physically every day to challenge yourself, because in life we have these challenges that come up and we're going to be tested. And so why not do something that sucks every day to help you in the long run? Because life is hard, so might as well do something hard to see how you can overcome those challenges.
Yeah, and that was great. Great testimony from my friend Juan about his life and about finding a passion for physical activity. With he talked about some runs, he talked about some swims, which both of those are great ways to stay physically fit for you guys to get into. You guys are in 9th grade. You guys are young. I mean, if I could go back to those years right now and be that age again, man, I would jump all over it and I would love it. And even though I feel like I did all I could have possibly done to stay physically fit throughout my high school years and into now, I still wish there was more I could have done. I still wish I could have done a little more. I wish I'd have done a little bit more on this day and not just kind of laid around all day. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs that. Everybody has those days where we don't want to do nothing. Them rainy days, we just want to lay down, watch some football, talk to some friends, talk to your family. Everybody has those days. But in terms of, an overall, looking at an overall year and looking at where you want to be, being in top shape can only help you in everything that you want to do. We've heard testimony from Josh, and we've heard it from Juan. We've heard it from two very knowledgeable people. Josh, he's just got out of BLET, so he's a cop right now. A very knowledgeable person who's been through it, he's done it, and he's currently living out his occupation right now. And for him to be able to get up here and talk to you guys about the demands it took for him and the drive is very respected by me. And to Juan, who talked to you guys about some of the aspects of running, some of the aspects of swimming, was very good testimony coming from him, because I know for me personally, I saw him as about when he was a sophomore in high school, when he decided he wanted to get physically fit, and to now when he's a couple years out of high school. Just the difference on his life that it's made is second to none, And then for me personally, in physical activity, I've always played baseball throughout my years. I feel like that's kept me in great physical shape. I did the video on weight room safety earlier in the year. So that's one thing that is also helps you stay in great shape. Running, swimming, doing all this stuff is great for your body. It's great for your mind, and it's just great for you and everyone around you, because one thing, good physical activity is contagious. If you see someone else, putting some work in, keeping themselves in the best shape and doing all they can do to better themselves. I don't know about you guys, but me, I look at that and I think, wow, they're doing a lot. They're making a difference. They're making a change in their life. Heck, I want to do that too. You know what I'm talking about? So for me, it's always been baseball, and it's always been doing everything I can to be the best at that sport so that I could stay at a peak level of physical fitness. And, there's different levels of physical fitness for everybody. Some people, if you want to go into talking about metabolisms, some people can eat a bunch of junk food, eat however they want, and then, walk a couple flights of steps, and they've already walked all that food off. Some people don't have that luxury. Some people have really bad bad or good metabolisms, depending on what you're trying to do. But some people with metabolisms that you can just look at food and gain weight. Some people like that may have to do more. In terms of physical activity to compensate for their metabolism. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think the world we live in today, not everything's going to be fair. Not everything's going to be even in the world. If you want something, you got to go out and get it. And the will and drive to go out and get something is probably the most important thing in terms of physical activity. Juan talked about the mental challenges and the mental peace that he talked about that swimming and running gave him. And that's one thing that I think everybody should feel at least one time in their life, falling in love with the outdoors, with physical activity, with sports, with running, with swimming, with whatever it is. And yeah, that's that. In closing, we're going to talk about finishing up. We talked about sleep today, getting enough sleep, not sleeping too much or sleeping too little. We talked about water intake. Remember, the rule of thumb is about 1 gallon a day, but when you really break it down, it's not that much. I mean, we've been sitting here talking on this one lesson. You can see my bottle. I've almost finished one right now. So it's really not that bad, and it can't hurt you. It's only going to help you. We heard some great testimony from Josh and from Juan, who just talked about staying physically fit, how it's transformed their lives, how it helped them in their future lives, it's helped them in their job, and it's just helped them with everything they wanted to do. I hope you guys have enjoyed this lesson on physical fitness. If you guys have any questions, please come to me after class, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or tell you guys anything about any tips I have, any advice that I would give you, or any specifics throughout my life that you guys would like to know about in terms of physical fitness and just having a healthy lifestyle overall. Again, thank you guys for being here. Hope you enjoyed the lesson, and we'll see you tomorrow.